Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
Make no mistake, it's not a military operation or whatever it was called yesterday in Donetsk or Lugansk. It's a war against Ukraine.
Right now on Action 2 News, an invasion of Ukraine by Russia in what world leaders are calling a full-scale war that has shattered peace. Hear how President Biden is reacting to Russia's military action, while we also hear from local veterans on the attack, as well as how people and businesses back here at home could be at risk.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News starts right now with breaking news.
How can I find it?
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We are continuing to follow developments from across the globe after Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine overnight after weeks of tension and buildup. Today, President Joe Biden reacting to the attack and announcing even more sanctions against Russia.
This is a dangerous moment for all of Europe, for the freedom around the world. Putin has committed an assault on the very principles that uphold the global peace. But now, the entire world sees clearly what Putin and his Kremlin allies are really all about. This was never about a genuine security concerns on their part. It was always about naked aggression, about Putin's desire for empire by any means necessary.
Last night, Russia began moving troops into the country and launching missile strikes on cities from the north, south, and east. The invasion comes after Russia has built up more than 100,000 troops along the border and recognized the independence of two rebel-controlled regions in eastern Ukraine. Dozens of people have already died, and Russian troops seized the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, where an explosion in 1986 caused catastrophic effects on that region. This afternoon, President Biden said the U.S. will deploy thousands of additional U.S. troops to Germany to bolster NATO forces. The president and the European Union also announcing harsher sanctions against Russian banks, oligarchs, and high-tech sectors, as well as export controls to impact their industry and their military. While he has already imposed previous sanctions, President Biden says they will take time to impact Russia.
No one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening. It has to show, this is going to take time, and we have to show resolve so he knows what's coming. And so the people of Russia know what he's brought on them. That's what this is all about. This is going to take time. It's not going to occur. He's going to say, oh my God, these sanctions are coming, I'm going to stand down. He's going to test the resolve of the West to see if we stay together, and we will.
Since the attack began, there have been long lines at banks and gas stations as many Ukrainians flee that country into Poland. U.S. troops stationed in Poland are helping take in those people. For those Ukrainians in several cities who have not fled, they're taking shelter in subway tunnels and other underground areas to avoid soldiers or missile strikes.
It's hard to believe that it's actually our neighbor doing this, because we never really believed that our neighbor can just come and just grab our land and tell us what to do.
Nearly 1,000 people have been detained in anti-war protests around Russia today. Independent monitoring group OVD Info reports more than 981 protesters were taken into custody in 46 cities. Demonstrations without a permit are illegal in Russia, but individual single-person protests are allowed. Wisconsin's congressional delegation is responding to the Russian invasion. Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, released a statement saying in part, quote, Vladimir Putin is a KGB thug who understands no language except force. He has brought war to Europe because he believes he will secure a quick and decisive victory. Our task is to ensure that he is disappointed by aiding the Ukrainians who are taking up arms to defend their homeland and imposing economic costs now. He went on to criticize the Biden administration for demonstrating little urgency, creativity, or willingness to admit errors or adapt. Republican Senator Ron Johnson also responding to the attack today, saying, quote, "Weakness tempts tyrants and totalitarians to seek more power," and that the only group of people responsible, Vladimir Putin. Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin also released a statement saying Putin has violated international law. She went on to say, quote, "I stand with the Ukrainian people, and I believe we need to continue standing strong with our European allies and NATO by providing them the support they need to hold Putin accountable for the largest invasion of Europe since World War II." And the Russian invasion of Ukraine is hitting close to home with Northeast Wisconsin veterans. New at 4, Emily Matesic joins us live from Grand Chute, where she spoke with some local veterans who, like many, are shocked at what they are seeing today. Emily?
Yeah, Sarah, the veterans we spoke with today really can't believe what they're seeing. Many not even wanting to address the current situation in Ukraine. At the American Legion today in Grand Chute for a presentation on the Missing in Action Recovery and Identification Project, which is a mission to bring the 1,500 MIA and KIA veterans from Wisconsin home. Veterans expressed their dismay over Russia declaring war on Ukraine. The veterans condemning Vladimir Putin and his actions, some calling the Russian president a tyrant who needs to be stopped. Seeing and hearing the bombings is jarring for these veterans, many of whom saw combat firsthand. And now they're sickened something like this is happening again to civilized people just trying to live their lives.
They're getting punished for what? You know, and that's what bothers me the most. They don't have a clue on why they're getting punished. You know, so it's just, I don't believe in it, and I just feel sorry for them and wish that we could do more.
When you've experienced something like that, when you see it happening live practically now, it kind of gets you in the, you know, in the heart and in your whole body reacts to those explosions. That type of explosion anyway, and you just know what that feels like. You know what those people on the ground are going through, and confusion and fear and anxiety, and where's the next one coming from? And it can really drive you kind of crazy.
And coming up tonight at 5, we'll hear more from these veterans, and we'll also hear from a UW-Oshkosh professor who has studied in Ukraine since 2008, calling Russians' actions here archaic. Reporting live in Grand Chute, Emily Matesic, Action 2 News.
Emily, thanks. The invasion by Russia is prompting security warnings today at businesses and organizations across the U.S. to be on alert for cyber attacks. The FBI and Homeland Security have been issuing warnings leading up to the invasion, and now cybersecurity experts are telling us that threat is escalating. New at 4, it doesn't take much for anyone to become a victim of a cyber breach.
Everyone kind of thinks, well, I'm too small to be a target, but everything's a target.
Whether you're a big business, work for a government agency, or are sitting at home scrolling through social media, you could easily become a victim, says Dave Schrader. We've talked with him about cybersecurity in the past, in his role as a cyber warfare officer with the Wisconsin National Guard. Today, we're talking with him as a cyber expert who conducts extensive national security research. He says cyber attacks can look different. There's the kind you've likely heard a lot about, the phishing emails telling you to click a link or open an attachment.
Any message that kind of seems like maybe it's unexpected or it's got some urgency behind it, maybe it's a little suspect, or why am I getting this? You know, those are that's how it happens.
But Schrader says there's so much more to it. As we've seen in the last year, cyber hacks into big businesses can bring an organization to a screeching halt. While hackers may demand money to get things moving again, Schrader says that's really just a smokescreen. It's about much more than money, and people need to know that.
The Russian GRU is not going to try to hack your phone. But what they are going to try to do is put out misinformation, disinformation, malinformation via social media or Telegram groups that people are members of, or anything that causes people to, that confuses the issue around what our policy response should be to Russia.
So what should we do? Be extra cautious about anything you're reading online from non-reputable sources and be alert with your email. We'll dig deeper into all of this coming up on Action 2 News at 4:30. The invasion of Ukraine is also impacting the world economy today. Stocks in the U.S., Asia, and parts of Europe all plunged today. Russian stocks and its currency, the ruble, also took a major hit. Oil and natural gas prices are surging as Russia is hit with more sanctions. Gold, which usually gets a boost when Wall Street is worried about inflation, has also jumped. So have corn and wheat prices, both top exports for Russia and Ukraine. Coming up at 4:30, our Chris Roth speaks to a local economics professor about how Americans will feel that impact here at home. Turning to weather now.